Here is our next big planning meeting for the RA. So glad you're all here, or many of you are here. Just a few notes. This is being recorded and will be posted to our website for those who cannot make it or want to review it later. You will see in the chat a link to the key documents for the RA. And I do want to note that, as usual, everything the team has put together will be at massteacher.org/RA, massteacher.org/RA. So thanks again to all our staff who will be supporting this pre-convention meeting along with joining us and helping it with the RA. And that includes, I think I'm just going to ask people to kind of just wave. Jennifer Freeling, our Director of Governance, along with Aaron Tracy, our events producer, and Jamila Malcolm and Olivia Osiki are our governance assistants. And I think all those except Jamila will be joining us to support me and all of you at the RA, as will TPL event specialist Sarah Ibanez. Give a wave, Sarah. Thank you. And also a really big thank you to the NEA RA Planning Committee. We'll introduce them shortly. So let us dive right in. I guess want to just, if we could do, I know there's a lot of people not on screen, but if you could just show if you are a first-time RA delegate, maybe just do a little hand raise somehow, electronically or otherwise, that would be great. You are especially welcome, heartily welcome to this event, and we will try to explain things as we go for those who may not know how this process works. You know, everyone, not everyone, but many people come up to me afterwards from annual meeting and they're amazed by this amazing scene of 1,500 members debating things. Well, if you haven't been to the RA, get ready for the 5,000 to 7,000 people in one room. It's quite a spectacle. But let's move right along because we got a lot to accomplish tonight as we prepare for the pre-convention, for the convention itself. So we're on item 2, and I think there may be a screen share. This is I want to entertain a motion for approval of the proposed procedures for the conduct of the caucus meeting. I think we have some people who might be making those motions. Jen, I don't know if we actually need to have, I think Tim Sheehan was going to make that motion, but maybe that's already.
I think he is. Is Tim on here yet?
I'm here. Hi, everyone. I will move that we accept the standing rules as printed on the screen.
Great. And I think Chris Mulroney was going to second that.
I don't think Chris is on, so I'll do it. Nicole Prevost, NEA Director. Second.
Thank you, Nicole. And I would ask that without objection, we will adopt these procedures. I'll give a moment in case there is objection to that. It's hard for me to see, so if anyone else of the team sees something, please let me know. Okay, it seems like we have approved those proposed procedures that you had on the screen. So then the next piece, now this is item 30, is to elect a chair and vice chair of the RA delegation. I would entertain, I think, Chris Mulroney, you are, but she's not here. Nicole, do you want to do honors for both?
Sure. Nicole Prevost, I nominate Max as chair of the MTA caucus for RA.
And do you want to also do the second one since you're on the screen?
Sure. And Nicole Prevost, I nominate Chris Mulroney as vice chair.
Okay.
And
thank you, Nicole.
Tim Sheehan, I'll second.
Okay. So I think we have nominated myself as the chair of the caucus and Chris Mulroney as the vice chair. I will note that our vice president, Deb McCarthy, will not be able to join us at the RA. So that is why our senior NEA director has been nominated. So without objection, we'll accept myself as chair and Chris Mulroney as vice chair. Is there any objection? Okay, so seeing none, thank you all. We will proceed with the chair and vice chair through the RA. Okay, I would like to introduce, now we're on item 4, which is the introduction of committees and some key people. And I really just want a big shout out. There's a lot that goes in, of course, to the RA in general, but also to the preparation of our pre-convention meeting and the RA caucuses, and not only the caucuses themselves, but helping to explain all the different issues that will come before us and setting up, helping us to evaluate the many new business items and constitutional amendments and bylaws that will be proposed, and also arranging for some great social events. So I'd like to just quickly note our NEA director, Sherry Armstrong, Brian Fitzgerald, Deb Gesualdo, Julian Norman, Chris Mulroney, as you learned, is the senior director, and Nicole Prevost.
Is that Bird?
Nope. Sounds like someone needs to mute. So thank you all serving as NEA directors. I also want to note the members of the NEA RA Planning Committee. We have the chair, which is Tim Sheehan from the great town of Amherst, or that's at least where he works. That's where I'm from too. Chris Mulroney, our senior director, who manages the mentor program in the RA Facebook group. Nicole Prevost, who's just nominated some people, as also managing the mentor program for the RA and is, of course, an NEA director. Denise LaPala, who's helped organize the NEA RA for many years. Shout out to you, Denise, as elections captain. Cheryl Norris, also big shout out to be as elections captain of our caucus. Jada Simmons Anonymous, who is always there as our accountability captain. And finally, I believe, no, there's a few more. Roxanne Campbell, shout out to you as an absolutely central member of the planning committee. Also shout out for helping to lead a fantastic Boston Pride March this past Saturday. Fabiola Powell, thank you for being a member also of the planning committee. And finally, Tim Sullivan, our former vice president, as PAC captain. So thank you all. This is a lot of work, and you will all see the results of their labor in a great set of meetings at the RA. Okay, I'm actually going to turn it now to the chair of our planning committee, Tim Sheehan, to talk about the logistics and schedule of events. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Max. And thank you for the introduction. So for people I don't know, and Max mentioned I teach in Amherst, and I'm looking forward to the RA. So if you are new, there's a lot to hear at this pre-convention. Definitely look to the links that Olivia has been placing in the chat, and look to the dashboard and the Facebook group, which you'll hear more about later on. And feel free always to check in with any of us that Max mentioned, NEA directors, the planning committee, the staff. Don't ever be afraid, whether you're veteran or a new delegate, to come to us and say, what the heck is going on? Where am I supposed to be? Help me, because it does get a little confusing at times. So with that said, I'll do a quick overview of schedule and logistics. Thursday, July 2nd is your travel day if you're going in for the RA. If you're going to one of the pre-conventions, adjust your travel accordingly. The travel day, there's an MTA welcome reception that evening at 7 to 9 p.m. And that will not be at the hotel. That is at, I lost the name of the brew pub.
Rock Bottom Brewery is what's in my mind.
Thank
Double check the paperwork, sure.
Thank you. The Rock Bottom Brewery in Denver. So if your travel gets you there in time for that, I certainly encourage everybody to join. It's a nice casual event for people to get to know each other. On Friday, July 3rd, things begin to start. So on the schedule, it has the new business item committee, which you will also hear about later, meeting at 8 o'clock that morning. And then for everybody, the first caucus meeting is 9 to 11 a.m. You will also hear about the hotel in a bit, so I don't want to take anybody's steam, but just to get it in your head with the schedule, for people used to the RA, You'll be doing breakfast in the hotel's restaurant, not in the caucus room this year, and you'll hear why in a couple of minutes. So first caucus is 9 to 11 a.m. And then we have the rest of the day open for ourselves. I would recommend that you go over to the convention center and do your registration and get your credentials at that point. That'll be the easiest time to do it. And that'll be open from 9 to 5. Saturday, July 4th, we've got, again, NBI committee. It's at 7 a.m. now. If you are a mentor or a mentee, there'll be a meeting at 7:30 a.m. And then the second caucus meeting, 8 to 9:30. And now that'll be a consistent time as the days go along. And then the RA first day is 10 to 4. And you may be wondering about a short amount of time between the end of the caucus and the RA. It's because we are lucky enough to be across the street from the convention center this year. So no waiting in line for NEA buses. Sunday, July 5th, much the same schedule. NBI meets first at 7, caucus 8 to 9:30, and the RA from 10 to 4. If you are new for this, I'm going to caution you that end times for the RA are extreme approximations. So if it says it ends at 4, plan on later than that. On Monday, July 6th, again, we start out with the NBI committee, followed by the caucus and the RA. And the 7th, you guessed it, NBI committee at 7, caucus at 8 o'clock, and the RA at 10 o'clock. And this is the final day of the RA. There will be social events sprinkled throughout in the evenings. If you haven't signed up for any, check them out on the registration page. And you can contact staff if you have any challenges with that. And let's see. I think that's most of what I need to cover. The travel day home will be on the 8th following the RA. All right. And don't worry if you didn't memorize all of that. It is in all of the materials that the staff has been putting together for us.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tim, so much. Yep. And you can always reach Tim or anyone else on the planning committee as we go forward. And remember, this will be recorded if you want to listen again or share it with those who couldn't be here. Okay, we are going to then move to item 6, which is I want to introduce Jen Freeling to say a few words about fundraising, as well as I think Tim Sullivan. So let me turn that first to you, Jen.
Thanks, Max. Again, I'm Jen Freeling. I'm the Director of Governance for the MTA. I am excited to be spending a week in Denver with you all. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is fundraising for the NEA's Political Action Committee. So PAC funds are used to make contributions and expenditures on behalf of friends of public education who are candidates for federal office. All of your contributions are voluntary and they're not tax deductible, so keep that in mind. And they all have to come from NEA members and its affiliates or immediate family members. We are unfortunate in Massachusetts because as public employees, you are not allowed to solicit campaign contributions or political action committee contributions. However, our retirees can. And so we're lucky enough to have Tim Sullivan as our PAC captain. He's going to review the various ways to contribute to the NEA's Political Action Committee, and he'll explain some of the ways that we try to make it fun for you to give your money to the Political Action Committee. So Tim Sullivan, thank you for joining. You're up.
All right, thank you. As has already been said, contributions to PAC are voluntary. The recommended amount in terms of contribution this year is $200. You'll be able to contribute with a check, a credit card, a debit card, or cash. But it should be noted that if you use cash, only $100 in cash can be contributed at the RA. We're going to be auctioning off some items which have been gifted to us, and we're still collecting items. So if you have anything to contribute, please let us know. And you can let us know by contacting through email mtagovernance@massteacher.org. The auctions will take place during the caucus meetings in Colorado. And so far, we have some hand knit items, a $50 Mary Kay gift card and gift basket, Scranton Wilkes Barre Rail Raiders baseball game, and some Bruins tickets. So we could still use some more donations. So if you wish to give, please let us know. We will also be auctioning off the aisle seats at the RA. And those winners of these seats, you will either get the aisle or the second seat from the aisle. But those of you who win that auction for those seats, remember you will also be the state contact. So you'll be a liaison between the Mass Caucus and the state caucus for which the seat cover you won. So for example, if you won Pennsylvania seat cover, you will be the liaison between the Mass delegation and the Pennsylvania delegation. And this is especially important when we want to gauge how other states are landing on particular business items that we have concerns over and wish to see how others are getting ready to vote on the position. We are beginning the seat cover silent auction today electronically. The link will be in the chat. And please scroll through to find the state you'd like to bid on. Put both your bid amount and your name, but please do not overwrite anyone's bids. And there will be future opportunities to bid on the seats as well when we're in Denver on Thursday, July 2nd, and at the welcome reception, and then on July 3rd at the first caucus meeting, as well as July 4th at the second caucus meeting. Please note that we do not, as of yet, have a map of our footprint at the convention center, so we don't know where each of these seats will land in the convention center, but we should know that as of July 2nd. The auctions are really a way of making giving to the PAC fun, but of course, there is no requirement to participate in the auctions. You are more than welcome to contribute to the PAC without participating in any of the auctions. And I will just, as I said at the beginning, and I'd like to remind you again, it is voluntary. The requested amount this year is $200, and you'll be able to give by check, credit card, debit card, or by cash. But as I mentioned earlier, only $100 in cash can be given at the RA itself. So if you wish to give the full 200 at the RA and you're going to give 100 in cash, the rest will have to be debit card, credit card, or check. And I think I've covered everything that I was asked to cover. So I'll hand it back to Jen or Max.
Did you just call me General Max? I did. Thank you for that, Tim.
No problem.
I do just want to note one thing, another reason to be happy to be part of the NEA is the NEA is actually working very hard, and we hope by early fall will file a lawsuit on our behalf to end this, frankly, muzzling of our political free speech, because we do have some of the most, perhaps the most restrictive rules around fundraising by political fundraising by municipal and state public employees in Massachusetts. Many states, I could get up here, make a pitch. Other members could go door to door to seek donations for our PAC. We cannot do that. That is why Jen spoke, and then a retiree spoke. So just so you know, the NEA is, I think I just talked to someone there in the general counsel's office. They are working on upending that unduly restrictive law in Massachusetts. Okay, I am going to go on now to item 7, and I am very pleased to introduce Jada Simmons, Anonymous, who will be the point person on site for accountability. And I know in our work, we do not like to use that word. It speaks of high stakes testing and the like. But I just want to say, Jada, I think will lay out the how this is going to work. But I just want to say this has been much of a debate. But basically, if the MTA or your locals or whoever is funding you to attend and be a participant fully in the RA deliberations, you need to be there. for the vast majority of the time. And that's what this is really about, is assuring that people do show up and participate in this very democratic event. So Jada, take it away. Is Jada here?
All right, Jada's not here.
Okay.
I'll speak briefly about
Why don't you give us thank you, Jen.
Yeah. So Jada is our accountability queen. She does a great job every year. What accountability means for you all is that you have to make 75% of the RA sessions, and we count the morning as one session and the afternoon as another session. And those of you who have attended before, this is tied to your second funding payment. So you get a first funding payment to help you book your travel. And then after you meet accountability, you'll get your second funding payment after the RA. We also endearingly call accountability tickets chits. And so you'll hear that used here and there. Basically, you'll get tickets for each session of the RA. And when Jada calls for accountability, I think you have 30 minutes to give Jada your chit for that session. And if anything comes up and you miss the window or you have trouble for some reason, you can see Max or Jada to try to sort through that. Max, I think we have one
Thank you, Jen.
question.
Yeah. You have a question? Okay.
Jahira?
Hi everyone. Not a question, but I do want to share for those ESPs on the call that if you cannot afford because it's too expensive, if you can't wait for the second part, which it can happen to all of us, but especially ESPs, you can email John Connolly and ask that you get your stipend completely, even though he will email you back, obviously reminding you that you have to have a 75% of the accountability to not have to send nothing back. But I know it's hard, and our hotel is quite beautiful and quite expensive, and the travels. So if you need that in advance, we still have the opportunity because we want to still have our ESP represented at the NEA level.
That's right. Thank you for sharing that, Jahira. And that should have been included in the funding memo that you got from us at the beginning of this whole RA process. I think we have one more question, Max.
Okay.
Tim?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether there's already some thought about how accountability will interact with the days of learning and organizing, or whatever the sessions are for workshops.
So we didn't, the committee didn't talk about it extensively. I believe there's a policy related to accountability in our very thick policy book. So let me do a little digging on that, and we can get back to you and the delegation if there will be any change to accountability. Okay.
Thanks, Jen. But I think I'm actually keeping you on the screen because you're going to come and explain the work of the planning committee and the socials. Yes?
That's right. It's still me. Okay, so we're just one piece of the puzzle. The people who do the most work are the NEA RA Planning Committee, and we have Max introduced them, but there's quite a few pieces that they really work hard on, and we've met 3 times. I think that's right. There could have been more than 3 meetings to plan both the business of the RA and the social events that you all that we put together for you all to enjoy each other's company with. What Sarah's displaying right now, and Sarah, I just love this look. We can see you on the screen with the website behind you. You look great. This is our RA website. So this is the MTA's RA website. That is a picture of last year's delegation, and there will be an opportunity to do a similar group picture. But everything that you find on here, everything related to the RA, you will either find here or you will find it in our external sharing drive. And those are generally things in our external sharing drive that we don't want to share with everybody who travels to the Mass Teacher website. So we have that. We're calling that the delegate dashboard. Both of those are ways you can find a lot of information. And then there's also a Facebook page, which is linked here on the website that we have available to you. If you're on Facebook, great idea to join that Facebook group because it's a great way to just share information while we're on site at the RA. And then I wanted to take a minute to, if Chris Mulroney or I know Nicole is on here, want to talk for just a minute, just a few minutes about the mentor-mentee program. It's a really great program for those of you who are new delegates to be able to meet with veteran delegates and learn about the RA a little more deeply. So Chris or Nicole, can we hear from you about the mentor-mentee program?
Sure. So just a reminder that if you are signing up for the Facebook page, please answer the questions because we cannot approve people who haven't answered the questions on that page because it just helps us make sure that the correct people are on and these are the people going to the RA for this year. As far as the mentor-mentee program, we've done this for a number of years. It's just a great way for people who have been to the RA before to help people who are new to the RA. The first time you come to the RA, it can be a little overwhelming. You can have a lot of questions. You're not sure what a chit is or how to, what happens if you're in the bathroom and all that stuff. So this is a great way to have someone who can help you ask for it. So we set people up. We are still working on making sure everybody is contacted by a mentor if they've asked for one. We just got an updated list, so we're still working on that. There's going to be a breakfast prior to state caucus meeting on July 4th and July 6th at 6:30. You can join a mentor and mentee, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me or Chris for more information. Thank you.
Okay, and then thank you, Nicole. And thanks to you for managing this whole process. I know how important it is for the newbies as they join the RA. Now I'm going to introduce Sarah, who is on the screen already, and Sarah is going to walk us through some of the social events that we have planned for you and some of the details related to those. So Sarah Ibanez, take it away.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Well, in addition to all of the important business that you will be conducting at the NEA, we wanted to make sure that you had some fun social opportunities. So I'm sure that obviously just in order for you to be here tonight, you signed up through this CVent that you see on the screen here. So a couple of different things. On July 2nd, there is the MTA welcome reception at Rock Bottom Brewery from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we really hope to see everybody there. That is a free event. So make sure you show up for that. That'll be a good opportunity to get to know one another. So don't miss that. On July 3rd, that will be the first caucus meeting for everybody. That will take place at the Crystal Ballroom on the 3rd floor of the Embassy Suites, which is the MTA hotel in Denver downtown. And the biggest social, I actually this just in because we sold out of our block of seats, all 100 tickets. I called our contact there. I was able to get 11 more tickets. That is it. So if you do not have your baseball ticket, there's 11 more seats. That's all I could get. And I'll tell you how to get that if you want to get another social and you don't have your ticket. I will tell you how to do that. It's on Friday, July 3rd from 4:30. We have just special kind of entrance for just us, a special area before the game starts at 6:10. So 4:30 to 10 p.m. at Coors Field. And there's fireworks after. It's going to be fantastic. And then the same night is the 50th annual NEA HCR, the Human and Civil Rights, but that's sold out, so I won't spend too much time talking about that. The 4th of July is kind of an open night for you, but there are some cool ideas down here if you were looking for different ideas of things to do on the 4th of July. On Sunday, July 5th, that's the third caucus meeting, the second day of the NEARA. Now, I did notice that ticket sales are a little bit low. Perhaps I didn't do a great job of explaining. Let me tell you, I can't express how cool I think this is. I don't know if any of you are into crafting, but like, hear me out, all right? So what is this upstairs circus? It's a project social. Okay, so it's the signature DIY experience. Okay, it's a time to gather, laugh, grab a cocktail or a mocktail. So it is a $50 ticket, but it's where you can create something. Think of it as your own like souvenir from your Denver experience. Take a look at what are some of the things that you can create. Let me just go here. Anything from jewelry to this like cool stone serving tray to a butcher board to these custom kicks. Look at this, a leather card wallet. You can make a pet collar for your pet at home, a leather passport wallet. There's over 25 things to choose from. So you don't want to miss out on this. That's such a cool opportunity for us to get together with your fellow delegates and get in there, craft, make something cool so that you can be really proud to take home as a memento of your Denver experience. So and as well as like, Julie, look at this cool bar necklace. Anyway, there's 25 things to choose from, $50, like you got a cool souvenir. So if you're interested in adding a social to your thing, because obviously you're all here, you've already signed up, what you have to do is go back to your confirmation email. It came from MTA governance, right? And the subject line, and you may not know this, you can just email Sarah, events at Mass Teacher. If you're not sure how to do this, I'll put it in the chat. Or if someone can put events at massteacher.org into the chat, just ask me. I will help you modify your registration to add this in there. I'm more than happy to do that. But don't miss out on this. This is a really cool opportunity. Okay? And sorry, I'm sure I talked too long. I apologize. But last thing, let's talk really quick about the t-shirt days. Day 1, July 4th, red, white, and blue. Day 2 is Sports Day. Day 3, local MTA Pride. Day 4 on July 7th is purple in honor of Becky Pringle. So these are the different, different theme days for t-shirts. So I think that's it for me.
That's great. And I made a mistake and I jumped over someone, and I'm sorry about that. Fabiola Powell was going to share. She's one of our committee members, but she was also going to share her experience as a mentee about the mentor-mentee program. So Fabiola, are you here? And would you mind sharing your experience?
Yeah, sure. I am here. Thank you, Jen, so much for not forgetting me. I just wanted to let folks know how wonderful this mentor program is. I was a first-time delegate last year, and this is my first time on any NEA planning committee, and it's because of the experience that I had last year having a mentor. And a big shout out to Julia Norman and Rosa Lopez Whitehill, who both took me under their wing and just helped me make sense of what some of the key issues were, so that I could better understand like the historical context of some of the issues, analyzing the proposals, just kind of, building professional connections, learning the culture and some of the unwritten rules of the convention, such as some of the traditions, the expectations, some of the informal practices, and just understanding like the conventional procedures, such as like the parliamentary procedure, the voting process, and what the delegate responsibilities were. So I can't thank them both enough for helping, just taking me under their wing and just like helping me navigate like how to travel with someone who was going to the RA, because as a first time delegate, you don't know what you don't know. And, going there on your own for the first time can be pretty intimidating. As everyone has already mentioned, it's a phenomenal experience, empowering, but it's also overwhelming. So if you have not signed up for a mentor, I highly encourage that you do. And if you are first time delegate, welcome. You're going to have an amazing experience. And please come up to me at the Rock Bottom Brewery and, introduce yourself, and I will welcome you. I will give you a warm welcome and, help you out in any, with anything that you may need throughout your time in Denver. But welcome again, and you're going to have a great experience.
Thank you, Fabiola. Okay, I think I'm going to keep us moving. I just want to also highlight we're doing something. We're going to be doing something hopefully fairly soon that we've never done before, and that'll be explained in a minute. That is around the elections. But first, we want to hear from Erin Tracy, our events producer, to talk about the hotel.
Great. Thanks, Max. Okay, perfect. I am sharing my screen now. Instead of doing a PowerPoint, I'm actually just going to walk us through a few things that are on the dashboard. And Jen, you're looking at the dashboard, right? I can't see exactly. Okay, good. So you're seeing me scrolling, right?
Yes.
On the dashboard. Okay, good. It looks a little funny to me right now. All right, great. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the city as well as the hotel. And again, everything I'll be talking about is right here, so you can always go back and look for it. Before I get to hotel information, I want to go to this little link under Hotel Food and More that's called Discover Denver. This is a microsite that the Denver Convention and Visitors Bureau created just for the NEA delegates. And there's tons of information. So if you can, definitely explore it. But if you go to the Know Before You Go section, there's two things that they highlight, which I think are really great to check out. One is about high altitude, just something to keep in your mind when it comes to your own health and safety, that can affect, our bodies, and you want to be extra hydrated and just kind of take your time in a lot of different ways. So keep that handy. But there's also some great information about transportation. And there's two different public transportation modes that I'd love to highlight because I think these could be useful to everyone. One is the train ride from the airport to the city. And I'm going to show you a map in a moment so that you can get a sense of that. And then there's also the 16th Street free shuttle, which I think will also be useful. So now I'm going to switch over to a little Google map that I made, and this isn't shared anywhere yet, but I will make sure it's shared. So I just want to make sure we did just switch to the map, right? You can see that? Okay, good. Right now I'm pretty zoomed out just to make sure you can see where the airport is compared to the city. I feel like of all the cities we travel to, this is one where the airport really is pretty far away. It's about 25 miles. It's probably 35 minutes at best when there's no traffic. And it is a very pricey ride if you're going to do a taxi. It's probably somewhere between $75 and $95. So if that's what's going to work best for you based on the time you arrive or when you have to get there, maybe try to carpool. But I just want to make sure there is another option. It was highlighted on that Visit Denver site, and it is a train, and it's a beautiful ride. It's $10, and it takes about 40 minutes, so it's not that much more time. And where the train brings you is to Union Station, which again, this is kind of a customized Google map. I just added some of our own locations on it. And again, we'll make sure we share it. So Denver Union Station is right here where the little train is. Our hotel is where the little bed is, which is right across the street from the convention center. So again, you'd probably have to, do a cab from Union Station to the hotel, but it still would be a lot cheaper than doing it the whole way there. A lot of these other markers are for some of the social events. So that's just where I want to point out that free shuttle down 16th Street can be very helpful in getting you there, getting a little bit closer. Since there wouldn't be other transportation. Especially this first one is the Rock Bottom Brewery, which is right on 16th Street. So you just have to walk a couple blocks from our hotel to 16th Street. And then upstairs, the Circus Place is further on 15th Street. But again, you could get a good ways there on that free shuttle. And the same thing with Coors Field for the baseball game. It's further downtown. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. That's the map. That's the microsite. Now I'm going to switch over to the hotel information. Sorry. And here we are. So I feel like this picture is just really tells the story of our hotel. It's a really good hotel. There are years that we have hotels that are not as convenient for us as this. This hotel is great for probably a couple different reasons. One is that you can see from this picture, it is right across the street from the convention center. That's the Big Blue Bear at the convention center. So again, like multiple people have mentioned, no reason to deal with the shuttles. It is right there. The other thing that's great about this hotel is that it is designed for extended stays. So your rooms are really ideal for someone who's staying a longer time. You have the 2 separate rooms, they're all suites, and then you have the mini fridge and the microwaves. So I hope that all works well. I know in the past I've spoken a little bit about the process. It's sort of like a draft. Every hotel we use has a certain amount of points, and we want to stay as close to the beginning of the picking order as we possibly can. And this was a year that we really did well. So I hope everyone enjoys this experience this year. There's a few things I just want to highlight in some of the sections on this page. And I will say, I'm sure there's not time for questions in the end. So one of these sections does have my email address right here under the hotel booking instructions. So if there's something I don't cover, feel free to email me. Just realize I'm not the expert on anything reimbursement or stipend related. So keep sending those questions to governance. Hopefully by this point you have all booked your rooms because yesterday was the deadline. I do want to highlight that if you are staying with multiple people, I feel like it is a really important thing that you make sure that the hotel knows how many people are in the room. And that's just because this is a hotel where breakfast is included in the stay. And so it's good for them to have the right number of people. So when you go down to the host or hostess stand, they can see that information. It does seem like once you get beyond 2 people in your room, there is an additional charge of $15 per person, but that does cap out at $219. And then payment. So when you made your reservation, you would have had to put a credit card in just to hold the room. Now, when everyone arrives to the hotel to check in, they are going to take a credit card again. And that is the credit card they are going to put a hold on. And the amount they're going to put as a hold on that credit card will be the amount that is for your full stay. So if you have a situation where you're splitting that amount between 2 cards, you really want to have both people in both cards with you when you check in. They talk about the hold on the credit card like it's this whole other thing because it's not an actual charge, but really in the same way, it prevents that money from being available for future charges. If that is not the arrangement that works for you, there are 2 alternatives. One is, if you're going to pay by check, you really need to have the check sent to the hotel ahead of time to arrive a week prior to your arrival and reference your name and your reservation information. All those instructions are here. And if you have a case where your local association treasurer perhaps is covering the bill with a different credit card, then they really need to fill out a credit card authorization form and get that to the hotel, again, with the information on who that credit card is covering ahead of time. And all that information is also here. I do want to highlight this hotel will not be putting a hold of any amount on people's credit cards for incidental holds, but that also means no charging anything to your room because they don't have that arrangement set up. It'll just become messy paperwork afterwards. The two big things I want to highlight under hotel amenities, and we'll talk about the hours in a moment, is again, this hotel includes a full hot breakfast for everyone staying at the hotel. So that will be the breakfast for everyone staying in the hotel. There won't be the hotel breakfast and then a caucus breakfast. The idea is that everyone, there are a lot of benefits to this. You have a wider window to be able to grab your food before going to the caucus meeting, and you'll get to interact with the other state affiliates that are there, being Hawaii and Rhode Island. Also, this hotel has a daily reception every evening from 5 to 6:30, just included in your stay, couple beverages and some snacks. And then finally, this last section includes the details on the breakfast. We were able to extend the hours of the breakfast because, of course, to our delegates, being a holiday, being a weekend doesn't change anything to your very busy and early schedule. So we wanted to make sure there was plenty of time for everyone to be able to grab breakfast. So those times are included here, and the hotel will also have that information throughout the property. So I think that is everything for me. Again, this site, which is just at massteacher.org/RA, and then you hit hotel information, has all these details, including my email address in case there's anything that I didn't cover.
Thank you, Erin. I really appreciate all that. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Max. There was one question. Oh, good.
Okay.
Erin already got it in the chat. Thanks, Erin.
All right.
Yeah, the debit card, yes, is fine. And to them, it's the same thing as a credit card. So there's no extra fees charged.
Great. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Item 10, I'd like to invite Denise LaPaula and/or Cheryl Norris to talk about the opportunity we're going to have to hear from the NEA candidates for president, vice president, and secretary treasurer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise LaPola. Let's see. So we will be voting for a president, a vice president, and a secretary treasurer of the NEA. We'll also be voting for the Constitution, the bylaws, and standing rules. Cheryl Norris and I will let you know the voting time for Massachusetts, and we'll explain how the voting will work at the RA. So we'll give you more information at the RA. That's about it.
Back to you, Max.
Back to me. Thank you very much, Denise. All right. I'm just catching my place on this agenda. All right. So now am Cecile Fuoti from the Framingham Teachers Association to talk to us about the Be on the Floor Club lottery.
And Max, sorry to interrupt.
Thank you, Max.
Before I see a question. I just want to see if that related to the last section. So,
okay.
Jahira?
Hi, I was just curious because I believe we are also voting for ESP at large positions. There are 8 positions. Is it that at the RA or am I wrong?
We're going to do those at the RA because already just doing president, vice president, and secretary treasurer is already, I don't know, a dozen candidates. So that's why we are going to do those tonight. But at the earliest caucus meetings possible, we'll have other candidates coming in, including ESP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Great, thank you, Max. So my name is Cecile Fuoti. I'm in Framingham. Framingham typically hosts something called the On the Floor Lottery. Truly, it's just a little fun activity that we do while we are at caucus before we get to the RA floor. And the idea behind it is to basically reward you for being on the floor while we are at the RA. The way it will work is you'll see myself and perhaps one other person at a table during the MTA caucus time. And during that time, you can come by and purchase a ticket. Basically, I give you a ticket stub. You purchase a ticket or more if you want more than one. And it goes into a pool. And what happens is that we pull a name out of that bucket at the end of the MTA caucus. So we pull one time there, and then we also pull one during the On the Floor at the RA. And what you get when you get pulled, if you get pulled, is some money. So increasingly, it gets to be more and more cash until the very, very end, where we have the jackpot. This is not through MTA. It doesn't go through the PAC in any way, unfortunately. It's really just for fun and for us to be rewarded for being on the floor. I hope I made sense of that. So usually the first pull is $50 while we are at the MTA caucus. And then after that, it's $100, perhaps $200, depending on the day. There are different denominations. And then at the very, very end, on the last day of MTA of NEA, we have the big jackpot.
Thank you, Em.
I think
for
that's all the
running that.
information, right, Max? I don't think I
Great.
missed
Yeah, and
anything there.
you'll explain it again when we're out there, but that's great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. All right, I'm gonna turn it back to Jen to ask for volunteers for various tasks that we have during the RA.
Yes, thanks, Max. You guys are going to get sick of hearing from me, but all good, exciting stuff. So we need lots of volunteers at the RA. We need volunteers for the MBI committee, which, once you volunteer, Max will appoint people, so you'll hear from us after that. We need volunteers for accountability to help Jada manage the accountability piece. We will need volunteers for flag holders. And those of you who have been before know what a flag holder is. Those are folks who wave a flag that indicates what position the delegation took, this Massachusetts delegation took on a particular business item. And don't worry, we'll send you with directions, so you can definitely volunteer for that, even if you're a first-time delegate to the RA. Any help with silent auction coordination we'll take volunteers for. And we need a someone or a few people to volunteer to take caucus minutes. So we're putting all of that into the chat. I hope these links work, and if they don't, let us know and we'll try to fix them. We sometimes have trouble with our external sharing drive. But once you volunteer, we will reach out and follow up with you to make sure you're good to go. So be patient with us. If some of these links aren't working, we'll get them fixed and get them pasted in the chat appropriately. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, so I don't know if Chris Mulroney, our senior director and vice chair of this meeting, is here. Can someone identify? If
He is not.
Okay.
And we don't have a backup plan for this one. So
I think I asked if we can get if we could share that. This is the policy endorsement of NEA candidates, and this is part of our NEA MTA policies. And so maybe you can show it, and hopefully we can get, without objection, approval of that endorsement procedure. This is what we've long used.
You can see it?
I can see it, yeah, and people should be able to, you'll put that in the chat, of course, so people can link to it directly if they want. And so what we'll do is we will hear from some of the candidates tonight. Again, only 3 positions, but then we will can consider nominations and endorsements at our caucus meetings, first, second, third, fourth, whatever we want when we get to Denver. So I'd like to ask, without objection, that we adopt our policies that we've long had for the elections process. Okay, seeing no objection, thank you. We've approved those endorsement procedures. And now we'll move on. And I guess I'm looking, I know that the candidates are going to begin to be in the waiting room. So I'm just going to ask those who are presenting the various issues. I think we're going to be introducing them, but we're really going to get into all the details and have lots of debate over them in our caucus meetings out in Denver. So let me start, though, with Brian Fitzgerald to talk about bylaws.
Max, real quick, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Julia has her hand up, Julia Norman.
Okay.
Sorry, Julia Norman, NEA Director. Sorry to throw a wrench in your plans, but I know that this is our policy and we're doing President, Vice President, Secretary Treasurer tonight. But would it be possible at some point in this, and I'm happy to do it now or later, but I would really like to make a motion at some point to that we endorse Saul Ramos for ESP at large. I really think it would be strong for us as a state to be going in for him to be coming into the RA with our endorsement already in hand.
Yeah. So Julia, let's if we could put that a little bit further on, see how we're doing on timing. But of course, that makes sense. Saul being one of our members and a national MTA and NEA ESP of the year.
Thank you.
That's just my opinion, though. Other people can feel differently. All right, Brian, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
There we go. Sorry about that,
go.
folks.
Thank you. No problem.
Max, I think Nicole Prevost is going first with the constitutional amendment proposals.
Oh, okay. I had you first, but that's fine. While you're talking, do you want to do yours or not?
All right, I will. So good evening, everybody. Brian Fitzgerald. I'm one of your NEA directors. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Wareham, and I'm going to speak to you briefly about the bylaw and standing rule amendments that are proposed on which we'll be voting at RA. There are two bylaw amendments proposed. Now, the difference is the bylaws are essentially the rules of how the NEA is going to operate, including outside of RA. The bylaw amendments are subject to a secret ballot. We will debate them on the floor of RA, but then the following day we will actually vote on them via secret ballot, and it takes a majority to amend the bylaws. There are two bylaw amendment proposals. The first one is the more complex one. There are different levels of dues. If you work up to a quarter of a full workload, you pay a quarter of the NEA dues. If you work half of a full workload, you pay half of the NEA dues amount. This comes up more often, I think, in higher ed if ESPs or adjuncts are teaching one course. But then it goes immediately to a full dues load if you work for half a workload or above. So the First Amendment proposal is to insert a 3/4 level. Believe it or not, I'm actually trying to summarize this. If you insert a 3/4 level so that somebody is working 50% to 75% of a full workload, they no longer would pay full dues, they would pay 3/4 dues. And this proposal is one of the ones that we'll be voting on. The NEA has estimated that it would cost about slightly over $50,000 to implement this. It would be a 2-year cycle because some state associations would also need to implement corresponding amendments. That is the first bylaw amendment on which we will be voting. Max, would you like me to go through all of them and then take questions, or?
You know what, Brian? I am just thinking about the timing. We also have many constitutional amendments. I wonder if there's a way. I think we're going to want to spend more time at the RA itself. So I'm not sure whether you can just do the very quickest topics that they are. People will be urged to look them over, and if you're okay, we'll contact you as well for more details. Is that okay?
Yes, certainly. I'll put my email address in the chat in just a minute. All this information I'm telling you, I'm also getting from the NEA website. Once you register, you'll have access to all this. The second and last bylaw amendment proposal is to increase by $10 the dues going to the ballot measure, legislative crisis and media campaign fund. That would be a $10 dues increase in addition to the dues increase that Julia will be talking about when she talks about I believe it's Julia who's talking about the budget. Those are the two bylaw amendment proposals. There are also a number of standing rule amendment proposals. This requires a majority vote, but that can be a vote on the floor of RA. It is not a secret ballot unless the body decides to make it a secret ballot. And these are just the rules by which typically the NEA governs itself, including at RA. I'll try to summarize it quickly. The first change is to change the requirement of when the resolutions committee elections need to be reported by, from the close of the 5th meeting to the close of the RA. That's a slight scheduling thing to allow states flexibility in electing the resolutions committee members. The second amendment would be to provide cost breakdowns of costs to anybody who proposes an NBI, a new business item, on the floor of the Representative Assembly. Right now, the maker can request one. This would have it so that the NEA is required to provide one. Number 3 is that 3 weeks before the, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. My apologies. The third proposed standing rule amendment would be that there would be a breakdown of the cost of previous NBIs compared to the projected dollar amount. You're familiar when an NBI is proposed, we're given how much the NEA predicts it will cost. This amendment would require that the NEA provide a report of the actual cost as they calculate it versus what they had estimated the cost to be before the vote. Fourth amendment is that if a item is referred, I'm trying to be brief, so I'm sure we will hear soon about what that is. If the RA votes to send an issue to the committee rather than voting on it, whoever wrote that new business item will have the opportunity to provide a written statement to whichever committee in the NEA is going to end up voting on that. So the committee will be able to hear through written form from the maker. And finally, happily, the last one, the fifth proposal for a standing rule amendment will be that 3 weeks before any new business item proposals are due, there will be a report published describing how the previous year's new business items were implemented, and that will be available on the website. So I'm sorry I gave you a lot in a short amount of time, but we will certainly have plenty of opportunity to discuss these in the Mile High City.
Thanks, Brian. And you promised you'll put your email in there, so in the chat, so people. Great.
I am typing it in as we speak.
Thank you. All right, let me turn it now to
Thank you.
Nicole Prevost, NEA Director, to talk about the constitutional amendments. And obviously, Nicole, not all 18 of them, or maybe it's shrunk a bit, but I know there's been many amendments been proposed.
I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. As Max said, there's a lot of them. Thankfully, a couple of them have gotten away. So just so you know, the NEA board has not taken any positions on these yet. We will hopefully have those positions for us at our first caucus. And this is the same thing where we talk about these on the floor and then we vote by secret ballot, but it needs a 2/3 vote to pass. The first one is to replace the word handicapped with the term disability when referring to criteria within the association, so we can't deny membership. And if I go fast, I apologize. It's just trying to get through them. The second one is to allow NEA to decide to convene the RA every 2 years rather than annually. Numbers 3 and 4 have actually been withdrawn by the maker. They hadn't collected any signatures yet, so they were able to withdraw it without even worrying about it. Number 5 is they want to add 2 limitation to the preamble to the NEA Constitution. Number 6, to add a limitation to the overall goals and objectives as stated in the NEA Constitution that would state an overarching opposition to discrimination and harassment. Number 7, again, the same thing. Add a limitation to overall goals and objectives as stated in the NEA Constitution. Number 8, again, this similar thing, add a limitation to the overall goals and objectives of the NEA that would require the NEA to ensure that financial and organization decisions advance equity for historically marginalized groups. Constitutional Amendment number 9 is to add the terms ethnicity, national origin, and religion and replace handicap with disability. 10, add a new section to the Constitution requiring the association to recognize members' self-selected identities and members' right to self-identify. Number 11, to add a new subscription to the Constitution, a new subsection to the Constitution requiring the association to ensure membership diversity is reflected in the delegate allocation process. Number 12, to add a new subsection requiring the association conduct RA delegate elections in an equitable, non-discriminatory manner, so they're fully inclusive and accessible. Number 13, to include additional required categories to the 20% minimum ethnic minority representation on the NEA committees beyond race and ethnicity. 14, to insert a new section protecting representative assembly delegates from harassment, intimidation, and discrimination based on identity or protected status. We believe numbers 15 through 21 will be withdrawn. They'll ask the maker will ask the body to withdraw. We're not 100% sure, but that's what NEA believes right now. And constitutional amendment number 22, to insert language that specifies affiliates comply with standards of non-discrimination, equity, and inclusion to be included in conjunction with the standards found in the bylaws.
That's all, Nicole?
That's all.
You don't have any more?
That's all I have.
Just for new delegates, that's a lot of constitutional amendments, so we're going to have pretty interesting discussion about those at the caucuses and at the RA. All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Nicole. All right, let me move on now to item 15, which is the NEA resolutions. I believe Betsy Proval is not here, but Roxanne Campbell has offered to summarize the NEA resolutions that we will be voting on.
Hi all, I'm Roxanne Campbell, and for new delegates who may not know, the NEA resolutions are the formal expressions of opinion, intent, belief, or position of the NEA, setting forth general concepts in clear and concise language. So prior to the RA each year, members may propose new resolutions or edits, additions, and deletions to current resolutions. So the RC committee meets on July 2nd and 3rd to discuss these proposals, and we make recommendations to the body to accept or not accept these changes. So we have 6 MA Resolutions Committee members. So it's Betsy Proval, Brenda Dunn, Teresa Rodriguez, Ryan Hoyt, Sharika Thompson-Allen, and myself. Right now, I don't have specific proposals to share, and there isn't anything on the NEA website yet. However, on July 4th, before the caucus, all of the proposals and RC recommendations will be available in print for us to look over, and then any amendments have to be submitted by 4 p.m. that afternoon. And if you want more information before we're in Denver, there'll be an open hearing on NEA resolutions on Zoom on Tuesday, June 16th from 7:30 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne, for pinch hitting. Really appreciate it, and appreciate all of you on the NEA, the Resolutions Committee. All right, moving right along. Item 16 is the legislative program. Julia Norman, NEA Director, will summarize that.
Yeah, so unlike the constitutional amendments, we only have a couple of them. Our legislative amendments are basically, it's the document that tells NEA staff, our lobbyists, our leadership, what positions members have directed the organization to advocate for. So there are 3 changes that are being proposed this year. One is about fertility treatments, and it's basically saying that the NEA supports a federal mandate so the current language is just extremely lengthy, and so we're just cutting it down from to say that we support federal mandate for fertility preservation services, and that coverage must be provided for standard fertility preservation services. And then the rest of it is being taken out about like kind of defining what it is, because we think that that is sufficient. The second one that is proposed, the committee is proposing, the legislative committee, is that the legislative and regulatory efforts to prevent early termination of services for students with disabilities based solely on diploma or equivalency status, to just strike the word early. And so we're going to take that word early out and just say prevent termination of services, because we don't think that the committee does not think that that is necessary. The third one is about the military and our members, our union brothers and sisters in our federal union. Right now, especially like last fall when the government shut down, our federal union employees and those members were really struggling And so this is saying that that we support legislation that requires an orderly redirection of resources from military purposes to alternate civilian uses, including education, then with a new language saying without cutting pay or benefits of those serving in the U.S. military, reducing the size of the U.S. military in order to achieve these cuts, or reducing the pay or benefits of unionized labor within the Department of Defense, including NEA members employed in schools operated in the Department of Defense education activity. And this was a major issue earlier this year with our federal union brothers and sisters. And that's all.
Thank you, Julia. Much appreciated. Okay, I think I'm bringing back Nicole Prevost to talk about the NEA budget and strategic report. Is that correct?
Yes. Hello, everyone. So just a reminder, NEA dues are calculated differently than the MTA dues. The NEA dues are calculated on the average national teacher salary. So the strategic objectives that the budget committee focused on were elevating the profession, establishing education and environments, enhancing equity, engaging diverse leadership, energizing affiliates, and ensuring a lasting democracy. And the proposed NEA dues increase is $5 for active members and $5 for ESPs. There was a lot of conversation on the NEA board about this because of the $5 for ESPs. But this was ultimately the recommendation the NEA board made.
Thank you, Nicole. And as always, NEA.org/RA for all the NEA materials. I believe now I'm going to invite Kyle Jacoby, who is the chair of the NBI committee, to speak for a moment about the approval of proposed procedure for dealing with new business items.
Thanks, Max. Hi, everybody. My name is Kyle Jacoby. I'm with the Wellesley Education Association. I'm also been the NBI chair for quite a while. And for those who are new, the NBI means a new business item. A new business item is a one-time action that the NEA-RA takes. Sometimes they have a cost, sometimes they do not. And we have a committee that evaluates them. This committee meets about probably like 4 or 5 hours or so across the RA. And we also do a little bit of pre-convention meetings. Excuse me, I got a cough. Sorry about that. So we end up doing about, I would say about 7 to 10 hours or so of pre-work at looking at all the new business items. We're not entirely sure how many NBIs there will be, but they usually range between 80 and 180. So if you are interested in joining this committee, please reach out to me or governance. And we have a series of pre-existing plans, I think. Are they currently posted, Max? I can't entirely see them. Is that policy up?
The policies.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Love being on the phone. Okay, cool. Thank you. And so, yeah, we meet just before every caucus, and we are able to make recommendations for the caucus to adopt. Ultimately, it's the caucus's decision, but this is just a group of people that meet, we talk with makers, and we ask questions. And if you do have something you are particularly passionate about, you are invited to join our meetings in the morning, or again, shoot us an email, and we're happy to discuss. So I think that's my quick spiel. I'm happy to take any questions and or move said policy.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm not sure I see that, but I'd love to, without objection, approve the proposed procedure that we've been for dealing with new business items that we've been using for a while, that is on the screen. Is there objection to that? Great. Thank you very much. And a lot of appreciation to you, Kyle, and all those who've been getting up at the crack of dawn in order to help us understand and work through and see the recommendations of the committee as we begin our discussions each caucus day. And I think this is a reminder. I think this is the way we've done it in the past, but for new members, we will not be projecting the new business items and the descriptions on a screen. We won't be doing that. But everything will be available. So hopefully you'll have some kind of computer, phone, iPad, whatever it might be, because that's how we will be. Kyle will be going through them during our caucuses, and they will only be available online.
I will. We've used both the presentation style, and last year we used the spreadsheet, and that seemed to get a lot of traction. And given that we're not entirely sure the order in which they'll be presented, we'll probably stick with the spreadsheet this time. So we'll make sure we put as much information as we can up there for everybody.
Thanks, Kyle. Okay, I think item 19 is really announcements. I don't have other announcements. Are there any things that people need to announce?
Max,
Oh,
and I just wanted to announce that there will be 2 different days of learning. So like last year we did 2 different sections on Friday all day. This time there'll be one in the afternoon and one in the morning. So I just wanted people to be aware, and you have to register for that when you register as a delegate.
Great, thank you.
and while we're there, reminder to register as a delegate. So many of you have already registered on our registration site for the pre-con, for the caucus meetings, for the socials, but you do still need to register with NEA, and you should have gotten directions just last week to do that. So please do that.
Great, thank you. Okay, what I'd like to do now is move into, and Julia, I am aware, let's maybe take up the discussion of Saul's endorsement at the end, but we have a number of candidates just for NEA president, vice president, and secretary treasurer who've been waiting patiently to address you. So, Jen, I'm going to assume it goes in the order that I have in my document.
That's right. And Max, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There are a few people with their hands raised.
Okay.
Do you want to go with hearing from the candidates first?
Well, let's see if there's questions now. Let's take those.
Okay. So Kathy Meltsakos.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the NCESP meeting is July 3rd. That's the National Council for Education Support Professionals. It's July 3rd from 1:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
And then we have Len.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah. I just wanted to basically, through you to Kyle, I just want to make sure I put in 2 new business items about a week ago. I just want to make sure that Kyle, has his committee seen these things yet or not?
Well, there is no committee yet, Len. We're forming that now.
All right, then just to Max, at our first meeting in Denver, I'm going to bring these 2 up for endorsement by the caucus. One's on AI, and one is, again, thank you to you on million, billion, trillion, again with your great thing about 10,000 years if you make 100,000. So I'm going to bring those up. Just want to let you know right away. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jen?
Carrie Costello. I think that's
okay. Yeah. Carrie Costello Andover. But to follow up with what Lenny had said, it would be my hope and suggestion that any NBIs coming from Massachusetts are moved up in the order, and that we bring them to the caucus, because I can assure you collecting 50 signatures isn't as easy as one might think. And if the caucus can at least support it, you don't have to agree with it to certainly support a motion. That would be helpful to those of us putting in the NBIs to get moving instead of having to collect signatures. So I hope we can extend that courtesy to our own delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. All right. Any more, Jen? Or are we ready to go to our candidate speeches?
You're ready to hear from the candidates.
Okay. So as I said, we are going to hear first from 4 candidates, I believe, for NEA president, then 3 candidates for NEA vice president, and 2 candidates for NEA secretary treasurer. And so our first candidate is Vice President of the NEA, Princess Moss from the state of Virginia. Welcome, Princess.
Thank you. And hello, MTA. I am Princess Moss, your NEA Vice President. I'm a music teacher from, excuse me, Virginia, and the daughter of 2 school bus drivers who taught me that public education is the great equalizer. I'm not just asking for your vote today. I'm calling you into a movement from resistance to renaissance, because resistance alone won't transform public education. We need a renaissance of educator power, and it won't come from the top down. It will come from you, from your classrooms, your campuses, your work sites, your communities, the same way you took on ballot measures and won. So here's what that means in practice, and this is my vision. We need to move from episodic mobilizing to continuous organizing, because we can't only show up when there's a crisis. We build power every day in every school, in every worksite. We have to move from top-down campaigns to bottom-up authority, where our local and state priorities inform the national direction, not the other way around. We have to move from professional advocacy to professional authority, because we are done merely responding to other people's visions of education. We will assert our expertise, our experience, and our authority to shape its future ourselves. And lastly, we must move from partisan alignment to issue-based advocacy, because our power is too important to be confined to one party or one political identity. We will unite educators around the issues that transcend partisan divisions. That is the Renaissance. And right now, the stakes have never been higher. We are in a fight against a system that prioritizes billionaires over workers, profits over people, a system that starves public schools of resources while the ultra wealthy write checks to politicians who do their bidding. But here's what they don't understand. We are the majority. When we organize, we win. I want to speak right now directly to our education support professionals. You deserve a living wage. You're the people who hold our schools together every single day. Too many are working second and third jobs just to survive. That is a moral failure, and it ends now. The ESP Bill of Rights needs to be a central pillar of our organizing strategy. Now let's talk about open bargaining for a minute. Rank and file members in the room, not waiting in a hallway, not refreshing their phones for updates, but seated and present as management justifies every single position it takes. That's transparency. That's solidarity. That's power. We will fight for strong contracts that protect academic freedom, guarantee due process, and deliver the compensation educators have earned and deserve. And MTA, you will lead the way. We have to name the truth about why our schools are underfunded. The tax system is rigged. For decades, the wealthy and their lobbyists have written themselves tax cuts while gutting the classrooms their own children will never sit in. That's theft, and we are done accepting it. NEA was proud to stand with MTA on question 2, and what Massachusetts proved, the rest of the country needs. Every child in this state, from Cambridge to the Berkshires, from Worcester to the Cape, deserves a fully staffed, well-resourced public school. Tax the billionaires, fund our schools. It is a demand. My leadership stands on three values: truth, love, justice. Truth, because we can't transform what we refuse to name. Love, I'm talking about that fierce, battle tested love that fights for every student and for every educator. And justice, because every student, regardless of zip code or the color of their skin, deserves a world class public education. We show up for students every single day before the bell and after it. You're not just leading MTA, you're leading a movement for the soul of public education. Let's build the Renaissance together. I am Princess Moss, and I ask for your vote and your endorsement to be the next NEA president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Princess. We will see you soon in Denver.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Kate Diaz, president of the Connecticut Education Association. Welcome, Kate.
Good evening, MTA. I want to say thank you so much for giving me your time tonight. I know how important caucus time is. I run a caucus, so believe me, I appreciate that expanding this opportunity to us is very generous on your part. I realize that I come to you tonight as a candidate with a non-traditional path to this position, but if I look at the time that we're in, I can't think of a better way to elect a president than a non-traditional path. You see, in the grand scheme of things, what is really important is that, like you, I love unioning. I get an incredible amount of joy from working hard with our members to make their world better, because I really do believe strongly in the work that we do. And I know that I can lead a transformation because I've done it before. So I am here today to ask for your support, ask for your endorsement. And I do come to you with a strong understanding of the issues that we're facing as educators and ESPs and higher ed today. I know the cost of the educator shortage on our members. I know the price that we pay for underfunding and understaffing schools. I also know the pressure that comes from having to constantly fight back voucher schemes, book bans, privatization schemes. But I'm here to also tell you that we don't actually have to accept that as our fate. NEA is the largest labor union. We talk about it all the time, but we actually need to be the most powerful labor union. But to achieve kind of a new vision, I think we need a new lens. I do believe that we need new perspective, and I'm going to bring that to the table. My experience has told me that NEA's potential is far greater than its current trajectory. I have been a part of the NEA leadership team as a state officer. I do understand the organization and what it can be. And I'm asking for the opportunity to join with you on a journey to build that power. I took over the Connecticut Education Association in the middle of the pandemic. I stepped out of the classroom, realizing that we were in a moment that is going to forever alter our organization and public education. So I left my classroom as a statistics and geometry teacher, high school math, go us, and came into this leadership role in the state. And our members had lost faith in the work of our union. They didn't see themselves when decisions were being made. Sounds a little familiar as I walk across the country and hear what people are saying. But I'm really proud to say that 5 years later, we are not an organization that looks that way. We are sought after, we are looked up to, and our members see our power as their voice. We're an organization in which 57 members were elected to public office this last election. We understand our power and we use it. I know that's how it is in Massachusetts. Max and I have had that conversation many times. This is the transformational energy that I'm going to bring to NEA. I believe that our members' voices, our members' ideas, and our members' drive will take us to a place of incredible success. And I know that because I've done that. I've relied on our members. But we need to be able to strategically direct our energy so that we can achieve marketable wins, things our members can point to. And I know how to do that. And I proved it through our work on the successful repeal of weapon GPO Social Security penalties. Let's always lift that up. Working alongside people like Max, Massachusetts leadership was a true champion of this cause. We elevated that issue from page 3 on the NEA agenda. We were told it was never going to happen. And yet here we are today, celebrating the returns of millions of hard-earned dollars to our members. It's proof that when we target our energy and we double down on things that are important to our members, we can win and we can point to those wins on a national level. And in this time, I actually think we do need a national agenda that unites our members around the fight for things we do all need. Things like pension security, affordable health care, wages that reflect our value. Yes, ESPs, 100%, but we need more than a Bill of Rights. We need movement and our recognition as experts and leaders in our fields. And we need to stand up and build that agenda, not fend off attacks. We're always going to have to do that for sure. But let's drive an agenda that we believe, we know, and we know that will be transformational for our members. And that's really why I'm here. Because I actually believe that NEA can and should be a force multiplier for leaders like Massachusetts. We can support your work with national advocacy, stronger organizing capacity, and a clear, unapologetic pro-union stance. As an NEA president, I'm going to bring the perspective of a recent classroom educator. I have been where you are. I go back on a regular basis. I substitute teach because that's how I fill my teacher void, quite frankly. I have this steadiness that was forged during the pandemic. I lived through the absolute assault on integrity that we experienced in that time and rebuilt the power of our union in that environment. I know how to take on challenges. I know how to message. I know how to speak to the media so that we get those sound bites on air so our members see us everywhere. That's the strategic experience I've gained so far as CEA president. I truly do believe that our union is stronger together. That is not lip service. That is real life experience. That is on the ground making things happen today in our current political environments. Working hard with our members to build coalitions, to put strong agendas forward that change our members' lives with noticeable wins. We've changed our fair termination statute in Connecticut. We've changed workers' compensation. We changed evaluation. We changed the kindergarten start age because it was bad for kids. Identifying issues, pointing to success, that is how you build unity. I know how to do it, and I'm asking for your support and your vote so that we can build an NEA that looks like our members, looks like their needs, and satisfies their desire to truly win on the national level. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing you in Denver. I would ask if you have any questions. The one thing I can tell you, please reach out to any Connecticut member you know. I stand with them in solidarity. They have unanimously endorsed me and support me. And so never hesitate to ask a Connecticut teacher how they feel about my leadership. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Kate. And I want to invite you, just because of time, I think we're going to need to move on, but I would invite you to post or send along if any website links. We'll make sure to share that in the chat. I want to say that also for Princess Moss and all the other candidates we'll be hearing from now.
Do you want us to mail them to you, Max, or do you want us to put them in the chat? How is that working best for you?
Say put it right in the chat right now so people have them. They can look at and they can follow up with you individually.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you soon. Okay, our next candidate for president is Sean Spiller, who is a former president of the New Jersey Education Association. Thanks, Sean, for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Max. I appreciate it. And thank all of you for giving me a little bit of your time today. I know how valuable it is, so I say thank you. First, let me just say a little about me. I'm a high school science teacher. I am the husband of a middle school language arts teacher. I am the father of two young boys who attend our great public schools. Full warning, aftercare just ended. I hear the little footsteps running around. I didn't get a chance to tell them, Daddy's on a Zoom, so they may barge in. I'm also the immediate past president of the New Jersey Education Association, as Max said, representing almost 200,000 public school employees in the state. And certainly, as I come before you today, I'm going to say right away, knowing that infrastructure, knowing how we do things, that this is not how we normally do things, right? A lot of you right now are saying, hey, wait a minute, I know our structure, I know how we operate, and we have a process to it, and we have a way we do things. I offer you this. These are anything but normal times, right? And following what we always do isn't always the best. We know we're facing federal attacks like we have never seen before, things that are coming after our union specifically, attacking our funding, demoralizing our members, and certainly trying to divide us from the community. We're facing state level challenges that in so many places include funding challenges or healthcare costs that continue to rise, or ways that they're looking to specifically funnel money away from our great public schools any way they can. These are attacks that right now we have to address in different ways than we have continued to do it, because quite frankly, we have got to do more. We have got to see more wins for our members. And that's what I'm talking about right now. We can't keep relying on doing what we normally do, hoping we get a one step forward and then unfortunately seeing ourselves take two steps back, right? You know it directly, right? We work hard. We tell our members, let's organize, let's win. We do the work. You do the work. We get those wins. We finally get the money from those millionaires who should be paying it. And what happens? We have our allies who love to go ahead and try to give it all back, right? Or like give a lot of it back. These are challenges that we have to look at and say, wait a minute, we're going to change the dynamic in these conversations. We're going to change how we operate at the national level to be a little bit more of that force that often we see at the state level. We've got to address these issues more globally to provide that support that our members and our state affiliates need. So what I'm talking about is doing a few things. Number one, first, let's talk about at the member level. It's about connecting authentically with our members about the issues that they care about most. It's what we do at the local level all the time. Let's go have those one-on-one conversations. Let's go find out what Sean cares about. Let's chat with him. Let's bring him into the union and show him that it is through our union that he can find his power on whatever issue that may be. But at the national level, what do? We send blanket emails. We say, hey, listen, please sign up for something. How do we get people out? And it doesn't work. People feel disconnected from our union. We've got to change that. We've got to use the information that we have on our members. We've got to use the information that's available out there readily from Salesforce and other entities to say, let's uniquely talk to every single one of our members. Let's make sure every communication that we send is centered around the things that they care about most. Let's then say, hey, let's work with you on these issues by connecting with others that also share these concerns or have this passion. And we're going to show you that it is your union that you will have your power to succeed. By the way, along the way, we're going to connect you to the other issues that we're working on globally to say, hey, when we tax those billionaires, this is how it's also going to help your issue, right? This is how it's going to move forward to provide you the supports and the funding you need to address the thing that you care about. Second, we've got to realign our national budget overall to make sure we're supporting our state and local affiliates on initiatives that connect our members to the community. Right now, we're seeing it over and over and over where there's an attempt to divide. And through, yes, bargaining methods and through our other strategies, we are working hard to try and connect to the community. But we've got to do more of that at the national level, investing in our states and our locals in ways that allow them to do that work authentically. Third, we've got to work with our state leaders to determine our national priorities. I can tell you as a former state leader, you're always looking to say, hey, listen, maybe in New Jersey and Massachusetts, we often feel we can do a lot of this on our own. We can fight a lot of these fights. We can get a lot of these wins. But we've got to show value added at the national level. And that's what I'm proposing. Let's say, how do we come together and say, what are the goals that we all broadly seek? How are we going to work towards those and set a framework that's going to allow for success? That's going to look different in every state, but success nonetheless around the issues that we say we're so passionate about. And what that means is whether it's a wealth tax or healthcare changes or other pieces that we're looking at, we're going to sit down and say, we've identified these priorities. And now, as president of the NEA, I'm going to build that framework with our staff to say, hey, each and every state, every member, you don't have to go from 0 to 10 on your own. We're going to help you start at 4 or 5, identifying key players, looking at sample legislation, doing the work beforehand to get you going on the pathway to success. Now, when every single member comes to our convenings and our conferences and our workshops, we're going to make sure everything is structured back to those identified priorities specific to the states that they're from to be able to move the needle in the work that's happening in their state. Now, look, I've been a local leader at the local level, a county level, a state leader. I know our infrastructure and I know how our organization works and I know how to maximize our potential. But I'm going to tell you right now that we have to do things differently. We have to be bold and show our members that we can win. And I know that in states like Massachusetts, you're doing this, right? You guys have been living and leading in a bold way for change for some time. But we need that at the national level right now as well. Our members in every single one of our states are facing these challenges, these attacks. They're working hard, but they're feeling beat down. And we need an NEA that's fighting for them and that they know is fighting for them as well. So that's what I'm asking of you. I'm asking for you to be bold. Be bold in your upcoming vote in these elections, where you can vote for change of a focus of a direction of our union that's going to move us into a position for wins for every single one of our members. I've had those successes in New Jersey, right? Whether it be supportive administrations or it's been administrations that have been attacking us. A guy by the name of Chris Christie comes to mind that some of you may remember or know, right? But even in those times, what I'm most proud of is even with a governor like Chris Christie, we secured record retirement funding during his term. We also secured the strongest ESP protections in the nation, right? Making sure we've got just cause protection for all of our ESP members and protections against privatization. Those things only happen because we know how to work and organize and mobilize our members, but also connect with them directly in every single space that they're in to show how these priorities were their priorities. And we got success by doing it. So I know that with your support, we can do that at the national level as well. We can make sure that our members immediately know the value added of the NEA when you bring it up. They immediately know what they can do to help be a part of the work that's happening, both for their success and for ours collectively. And that to me is what we can do together. We can change the direction of this union. Yes, we can do what we normally do, or we can do things a little bit differently. We can listen to those members that we see each and every day who say, man, I'm just tired, I'm beat down, I'm willing to work, but I need those wins. But I'm looking for a different way to do it. I'm looking for a passionate way to make sure we're focusing on the issues that I think are important. I'm looking for a union that says, yes, we could be an association that comes together, but I want a union that's willing to fight and win for me as well. That's what we can bring to the table. That's what we can do together right now. So again, I'm Sean Spiller, and I'm running to be the next president of the National Education Association. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. I ask for your endorsement because this is our chance. This is our opportunity to move things in a direction to fight for a union that wins for all of us. So thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you out in Colorado. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Sean, very much. Feel free to post any links that you have, and we will see you indeed in Denver.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. All right, and our last candidate for president is Tanya Kapner from the great state of California.
Hello, Massachusetts. Good evening. I'm Tanya Kapner, and I'm running for NEA president along with the Equal Opportunity Now by Any Means Necessary slate, Mark Airgood, Adarine Hogue, and Stephanie Gutierrez. We are running because this is not a business as usual time, because we need a fighting leadership for NEA that is prepared to take on Donald Trump's attempts to overturn democracy in this nation and is prepared to provide the real antidote to the rise of fascism in this country, which is bold, united union leadership organizing with our students and communities. That is who I am. We need to be taking on the attacks on public education and the privatization by marching on Washington, by mobilizing at the local, state, and particularly national level to build a fight to get Trump impeached and removed. We need to be taking a proud stand for money for schools, not war, and be against the war on Iran, the attacks on Lebanon. We need to stand up for academic freedom and the right to say that it is not okay for genocide to be committed against the Palestinian people. I am someone who has been a leader in NEA for about 30 years now. You can look at my track record of the things we've brought. I'm a civil rights, immigrant rights, anti-privatization union leader. I've served on resolution. I've been picket captain at my strikes many a time in Oakland. But at the national level, you'll see everything that I've been bringing, that Ian Bam has been bringing, is always where the union needs to go to be the boldest on the cutting edge issues. I'm very proud of a lot of the things that have passed over the years around school integration and the fights we've made around affirmative action, around the DREAM Act and DACA, around many struggles against the increase of charter schools, against privatization. That's who I am. But I'm someone that knows from experience that we can't rely on the politicians, that we need to look to ourselves and our own independent mass action to fight to win. I have seen in my own lifetime and through NEA, it's so important that we have proud progressive traditions to stand on in NEA. It was the right thing for NEA to do, to not allow segregation in our southern locals, and people came back together on a united basis against racism stronger. That's how we change history. We cannot be looking to the middle or moving to the right, as we're seeing politicians do in the context of Donald Trump's ICE Gestapo kidnapping our neighbors, our friends, our family members. We need to be standing to abolish ICE. I'm very proud. People remember in Houston when we had the demonstration. I was one of the leaders and organizers of the demonstration to the Houston Detention Center of 2,000 teachers on July 4th. That's what we need to be doing at the national level. How do we restore a mobilized union? How do we fight the attacks on the right to bargaining and get strong contracts? We need to take We need more union democracy. We need to take on Trump's attacks, and we need to mobilize. I've seen this in many ways. When we fight, we win. And I truly understand that an injury to one is an injury to all. My parents, it was illegal for them to get married when they got together at age 19. They couldn't get married until they were 21, even though they were from New York, because that was the age of consent without parental permission. Had they been in the South, the loving decision would not have happened yet. But they have taught me, and the movement that I started being a part of in college, taking on bully administrations in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, the home of W.E.B. Du Bois. We stood up against sexual harassment. We stood up against the war in Iraq. We stood up for students' rights, and we saw that when we fight, we can win. This is the message that I, as an eighth grade English and history teacher, want to make sure that we defend for our next generation, for our students and their families. Millions of people are looking to NEA to defend public education and defend the right to progress and opportunity. The vision of this country to actually be a place where it doesn't matter what side of a river or wall you're born on, but that you have the opportunity for a new and better life. I look to the model of the struggles for justice for George Floyd. Out of the depths of COVID, people stood up against the attacks and the brutality and got some justice. We know that NEA, when we fight, we can win, but I've seen too little of it. This is not a business as usual time. If you want a fighting leadership for NEA, if you want folks that will speak truth to power, that will mobilize, that will walk the picket lines, that will bring more member activity together by bold, positive solutions, that will really fight to defend members that are facing all these issues of academic freedom, that want the right to even teach about slavery, that will fight to get Trump out now, then I urge you to vote for myself, Tanya Kapner, for NEA president, and for the whole Ian Bam slate, because we know that NEA can do so much more. We really look forward to working with you all and fighting in Denver this summer. Thank you so much, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Tanya. Really appreciate your being here. We do look forward to seeing you out in Denver. All right. Delegates, we are going on now to the three candidates for vice president, and I'm going to start with Noel Candelaria, the current Secretary Treasurer of the NEA, and he is from Texas. Thank you, Noel, for being here.
All right, thank you, President Page, and good evening, MTA Familia, and thank you for welcoming me into your space today as you prepare for the NEA Representative Assembly. For those that I've not had the pleasure and opportunity to meet yet, my name is Noel Candelaria. I'm a longtime special education educator from El Paso, Texas, the proud son of Mexican immigrants, and I currently have the honor of serving as your NEA Secretary Treasurer. But before any title, I'm an educator and unionist at my core. Someone who started as a substitute, proudly worked as an education support professional, and later became a behavior intervention teacher, because I believe deeply in the power of public education to transform lives. And throughout my journey, from worksite leader, local president, to state president, and now national leadership, I have never forgotten where our power comes from, our members. It is how I have led as NEA Secretary Treasurer. And when I think of MTA, I think about a union that understands the power of solidarity, a union that brings together educators across every level of our profession, ESPs, classroom teachers, higher ed faculty, and staff, because you understand something deeply, that our strength comes from standing together. Whether it is defending public education, protecting academic freedom, ensuring billionaires pay their fair share, fighting for dignity and respect for every educator, or organizing for the future of our profession, MTA has never been afraid to lead. And that leadership matters in this moment, because the challenges that we face are real. Attacks on public education, privatization, efforts to divide workers from one another, fear being created in communities that too often find its way into our classrooms and campuses. That's why I'm running for NEA Vice President, because I believe educators and public service workers organizing for power are the heart of our union. See, I believe that all organizing is local. Real power is built worksite by worksite, campus by campus, school by school, conversation by conversation. It is built when members feel ownership in their union and understand that together, juntos, we have the power to shape not only our profession, but the future of our democracy. See, and I understand the responsibility of serving as vice president. At every level of our union, I have served in that role. I understand that leadership means partnership, being a trusted partner to the president, helping strengthen our collective vision, supporting leaders across our states, and stepping forward to lead when called upon. So today, I want to thank you. Thank you for your leadership, your advocacy, and your unwavering commitment to students and educators across Massachusetts. And I humbly ask for your support to be the next NEA Vice President, because together we build power. Y juntos podemos cambiar el mundo. Together we can change the world. Un mundo justo racialmente, socialmente y equitativo para todos. A world that is racially and socially just and equitable for all. Thank you, MTA. See you in Denver for an incredible representative assembly.
Thank you, Noel. Very much appreciate your being here. Thank you, and we will see you soon in Denver. Our next vice presidential candidate is Marisol Garcia, the president of the Arizona Education Association.
Thanks,
Marisol,
Max.
thank you for being.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, MTA, for inviting us to come. I know it's been, for us at least, a very long day and still not even near the end. It's coming from you from Pacific Standard Time. My name is Marisol Garcia. I am the proud president of the Arizona Education Association, but I am also an 8th grade social studies teacher, a proud mother, and an organizer. And I lift up organizer because that's why I decided to enter this race to be the vice president of the NEA. Let me tell you a little story about what it's like being an educator in Arizona and how it feels being an educator in many states across this country who are living in anti-union states, what that feels like and looks like, and what we've been able to do under some transformational leadership and work with our locals here in Arizona. Many of you may recall that in 2010 here in this state, we passed the first immigration terrible bills here that was a show me your papers. And it became a lightning bolt for my activism and my organizing work here in Arizona. Became very clear that our work was, as a union, was not focused in on communities and our parents and safety beyond our 4 walls. Our union had not really understood what that would look like. And so we were able to show an example of what it could look like to work with your colleagues, parents, and find ways to keep our students safe. And at the time, it was not safe. We battled and had very little work that was a model of how to fight back. Now, you seeing it all over the country. We were able to bargain in a non-bargain state, rules to ensure that no one was to come near our students. We were able to change policies to make sure that we could also hire people that could make sure that students were walked to and from school and that their families felt safe. That kind of got me involved in what I would want to do at a state level. And as many of you know, in 2018, our state engaged in an illegal 6-day strike. Never in my time in the classroom did I think that would happen here in Arizona, but it happened for one crucial reason, is that we put our walls down and we began to talk to our colleagues across districts and across the state. And we were finding that the things that we were talking to each other at during lunch, during breaks at recess or after school were happening everywhere. And if it was happening to everyone, bold changes need to happen. And when you look to your colleagues and make a collective decision to walk off the job for your children, it was scary, but it was also courageous. And we won in that fight. And that was in 2018. In 2020, we did something here that was incredible. And I still think back, how did we get that done? But in 2020, AEA, our state organization, along with our locals and members everywhere throughout the state, collected 400,000 signatures to put a millionaire's tax on the ballot during COVID. And in 2020, we won. Again, who would think the small little state of Arizona would be able to do that? But it came because with the lessons we learned was that organizing was the blueprint and mobilizing was okay and fun, but it was not how you built power. Beyond that, when I took over as president, what we decided to do is a complete transformational journey of our union. Who was being best served? How are our norms serving those? Did we need to grow power? Where was power being elicited so that we could learn from that? And we decided to change and transform. We rebuilt a budget and we decided to focus in on local organizing campaigns, retrain over 300 of our members, our entire staff so that we could become a high participation unions at a local level to build power. And shockingly, it worked. Not only did we grow members, but we grew power. And that came to fruition in the most exciting way when our locals were winning small site levels and being able to help win small wins that made people want to fight a little bit harder. In Tucson, one of our locals, they fought for the first time to have one of our locals to have paid family leave. That is not something anyone else in Arizona schools had, but that is something that was led by local organizing, state supporting and investing, staff being there side by side, and we were able to win. What I propose to you is that the experience that is needed to lead this organization to what we're confronting needs to come from somebody who has led a transformational work at a state level and local level, but more importantly, has done the work at the site, at the local, at the district and state level. I'm excited to be able to be with you guys. I'm going to put my stuff in the chat, and I'm most grateful that you guys spent some time letting all of us speak to you so that you can take the incredible step of choosing your next officer team for NEA. Thanks.
Thank you, Marisol. Great to see you, and we'll see you also out in Colorado very soon. Okay, we have a third on our last NEA vice presidential candidate, and that is Mark Airgood from California.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Airgood, running for NEA Vice President, along with Ian Bam, with Tanya Kapner, Adi Hogue, Stephanie Gutierrez. I'm a special education teacher, longtime special education teacher in Oakland, California, and have been a virtual teacher. We fought for and won a virtual program in Oakland schools during COVID and have maintained it. So I'm a virtual teacher now. The motto, the byword of our caucus of Ian Bam is that without struggle, there is no progress. I know we won't go back. We have to build a mass pro-democracy, pro-union civil rights and immigrant rights movement in the streets to remove Trump and defeat fascism. This is not a normal time. This is a completely new phenomenon for all of us. The thing that is most important to our members is to defend democracy and public education. When we talk about what's most important, yes, we fight for strong contracts. We fight for funding for our schools, but we have to be building a national movement. We need NEA and other unions to play an independent role in building mass actions like No King's Day, like a March on Washington. We cannot just rely on local actions. We can't rely on local elections or legislation. We have seen what happens when we leave it to the politicians. We have to do something different, and that's build a mass movement. We're in a position that we should never have been in. We're faced with the historic necessity of defeating Trump's corrupt presidency and his fascist movement, of stopping Trump and his mega base from consolidating power. And I don't use the word fascist just as a particularly, rude thing to say about Trump. Trump is following the playbook of Hitler and Mussolini. In Trump's case, he's building and fighting to build a mass movement based on racism against immigrants, ramping up LGBTQ plus attacks, attempting to shut down democratic elections. We see this right now. We know what he's going to be doing in around the midterms. We can see it with what he's saying now about the elections in California. On waging permanent war, fascists always need a war, and he wanted to show the ability of the U.S. to carry out its power in Venezuela, and he wanted to do the same thing in Iran, but that the U.S. has lost that war. The U.S. has lost, cannot win the war on Iran. But we have to have an anti-war movement built, or it continues. Trump is not withdrawing from the war. He has to have it. We're under attack as teachers, as the labor movement in the US, as Black, Latino, immigrant communities, as students, but we're not defeated. We need to inspire our members and the communities and students to take action. There are members who are looking for a way forward, and we can pull in to be the leaders we need if we're taking action in the streets. We can defeat fascism on the basis of mass action, like in Minneapolis after the murder of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, like No Kings, like the George Floyd movement. Those are the way forward. Those are actual concrete steps that are moving the country forward to what we need to be. But the NEA needs to be sustaining these movements, funding, giving funds to these movements, and setting its sights on building them on a national basis. That's what my candidacy is dedicated to doing, and what Eon BAM candidates are pledged to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. We very much appreciate your speaking to our delegates tonight. And now I would like to move to our third set of, there's two NEA Secretary Treasurer candidates, and our first is Brett Smith, I believe is the Vice President of the Michigan Education Association.
Thank you, Max. Good evening, MTA, and thank you for having me. As Max said, my name is Brett Smith, candidate for NEA Secretary Treasurer. I've been a proud NEA member for 26 years. I'm a proud husband of a former preschool teacher and a father of 4 children that all attended public pre-K through 12 schools and public universities that are represented by NEA. I was born in Flint, Michigan, a city steeped in Union history. I grew up in a UAW world. I'm the first grandchild to be in a union that is not UAW. My first degree is in finance from the University of Michigan, and I have an MBA from Central Michigan University. I worked in General Motors and briefly for Ameritech and the private world for 6 years in their finance departments. I did not love it, so I went back to school and followed my heart and became a teacher. I taught 5th grade for 17 years, and in 2011 and 2012 in Michigan, Betsy DeVos started the attacks. Michigan and Wisconsin were the first ones to really get hit hard. And I wasn't the type, and I'm not the type, that just sits around and says, what is my union going to do for me? I step up, and I find new avenues to lead. I ran for office in Michigan in 2017, and I was elected to Secretary Treasurer of MEA. I inherited a $4.7 million deficit budget, and by the 5th year, that budget was a $1 million surplus. I'm proud of the work that we did as a budget committee in Michigan. The budget committee also took that $1 million surplus and lowered dues for low-wage earners. And I'm proud to say now that in that category, since we did that, we're up 900 members in Michigan. I feel there's kind of a misconception about the job of NEA Secretary Treasurer. The misconception is, I feel, that the CFO does all the work. And I'm here to tell you that Brett Smith is your next NEA Secretary Treasurer. It doesn't happen that way. In 6 years as Secretary Treasurer in Michigan, I built 6 budgets. I worked with the CFO to review the audits. I worked with the managers of each department to review the audits and talk about their vision and their future plans and their future needs. I worked with the officers, the board of directors, and finally the Michigan Representative Assembly. I did the work. This job is not a stepping stone to future offices. I feel the NEA is a place where my background in finance, my educator experience, my views as a parent, and my state officer experience, 9 years now because I've spent the last 3 as vice president, will benefit NEA and its members. And speaking of my role as vice president, I'm in charge of 27 committees, commissions, caucuses, and task forces. The one that I'm most proud of is I chaired the Social Justice Committee in Michigan. And the Social Justice Committee used to be a place where members just kind of met and complained about everything. And that's not how I lead. When I took over, we started real initiatives. We've expanded professional learning opportunities, brought in guest speakers, created spaces where members can learn from one another, and have honest conversations. I'm an original partner in the Flint Center for Educational Excellence, and all of you know Flint from the water crisis. And this committee is kind of a follow-up and following these students through. I work with educators, community leaders, faith leaders, and researchers on issues, including educational equity, chronic absenteeism, preschool access, and the impact of school choice policies in Flint. I'm a proud DNC member, and I currently sit on the DNC Labor Steering Committee. This position allows me the opportunity to work closely with national labor union leaders from around the country, and I will continue to use these relationships that I've created to help NEA. My vision for the NEA is this. As Secretary Treasurer, my role would be to uphold my commitment to financial integrity and ensure NEA remains financially strong. As an NEA leader, I believe NEA needs to continue and work harder at defining who we are. NEA should be viewed as the leader in not only as social justice, but education policy and unionism as well. I work with a lot of national labor leaders, and they are sitting around right now waiting for someone to step up. And it's time NEA step up as the largest labor organization in the United States. NEA needs to fight clearly for fully funding education at the national and assist their states in doing the same. Whether it's taxing billionaires or corporations or working on making it just a budgetary priority like we had to do here in Michigan. We need to join forces with other labor union leaders to secure a freeze or a cap on healthcare costs. I'm sure you're feeling it in Massachusetts as we are across the country. The increasing cost and uncontrollable increase cost in healthcare is ridiculous. NEA and state affiliates need to hold all legislators accountable, just as we are held accountable in the classroom and in our workspaces. We need to stop writing campaign checks to those legislators that do not do their jobs. NEA needs to implement a program like mental health first responders, where staff are trained to assist those in need. We all know someone, and maybe even ourselves, that are struggling right now with the wait since COVID, during COVID, and after. We need to protect our educators. Across the country, they're being attacked by their students and parents. We need to implement policy nationwide to protect our educators. Things like these will take a strong leadership team that will not be afraid to stand up and fight for NEA and its members. I am willing to stand up and fight that fight. I did it in Michigan for the last 9 years, and I'm willing to do it anywhere that we represent members. Thank you again, Massachusetts, for having me. My campaign slogan is Experience Matters, and I truly believe that. BrettForNEA.com is my website. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you in Denver.
Thanks so much, Brett, for being here. We really appreciate it. See you soon. And our last candidate tonight is also again for NEA Secretary Treasurer, and that is Robert Rodriguez, who is currently an executive committee member of the NEA, and he is from California. Thank you, Robert, for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, MTA. My name is Robert Rodriguez, and I'm a special education teacher from California and a proud union member with the National Education Association. And for the past 13 years, I've served in national leadership at both the NEA as an NEA director and on the executive committee. And in each of my national elections, I was able to stand in front of your delegation and ask for your endorsement and your support. And today I'm honored to join you virtually, this time as a candidate for NEA Secretary Treasurer. My time spent in NEA leadership provided me opportunities to lead and support work on educational practice and to build a stronger union. And through those experiences, I gained a deep insight into the structures and systems of the NEA. There's no doubt that my resume checks off the right boxes, but experience is not the only quality needed for the office of NEA Secretary Treasurer. It's taking that experience and using it to build an NEA that supports members as we face the current moment. Teaching today is harder than it has ever been. Whether you're in the classroom, the lunchroom, or the bus barn, the demands are relentless, the needs are overwhelming, and the attacks on academic freedom, human rights, public education, and our union are constant and coordinated. As a former local president, I know the weight that many of you carry. I know what it feels like to hold an entire community struggle on your shoulders. I know the fear, the fatigue, and the responsibility you live with every day. And I understand the need to have a national association who helps to lift that weight and provide tools and resources to support our members at the local level. See, friends, I joined my union as a first-year teacher because I learned very early on that I had two callings in my professional life: advocating for students with disabilities and advocating for our profession. And I learned then what I still believe in now, that you can't do one without the other. And my return to the classroom this year has sharpened everything I believe about this work. My vision for this role is simple and powerful. Ensure a strategic budget that is transparent, accountable, and driven by the real voices and needs of our members. Our financial decisions must reflect our values, strengthen our locals, grow our organizing capacity, and advance racial and social justice. Because our students can't wait. They can't wait for fully staffed schools. They can't wait for resources tomorrow when they're sitting in our classrooms today. I am continuously inspired by what our members do every single day, showing up, fighting inequities, and loving our students through impossible circumstances, and still believing in the promise of a public education. The work that is happening across your state is having tremendous impact on the lives of our members and the students in Massachusetts. From winning fair share campaigns a couple of years back to the elimination of the MCAS graduation requirements. And when educators stand up like that, something powerful happens. They know that they're not standing alone. Because when our entire union family stands together, active educators, future educators, and retired educators, and advocate for the future of public education, when the whole union shows up together, that's when we win. Here's something educators have always known. When we organize our schools, when we organize in our communities, and when we organize at the ballot box, that's when real change happens. The future of our schools is not determined by luck. It's determined by the people who show up, the people who organize, the people who speak up, and the people who refuse to give up on the promise of public education. And as your next Secretary Treasurer, I will continue to fight, I will continue to organize, and I will continue to speak up. MTA, I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you each and every time. I'm a special education teacher from California, and I ask for your vote and your endorsement. We'll see you all in Denver, Colorado. Thank you, Mr. President. Back to you.
Thank you, Robert. I very much appreciate it. And I really just want to thank again all of the candidates. And I believe you shared all the information, and I think there will be other chances as well in Denver to interact individually. And we just want to thank you all. I will just say this, it's good. Competitive elections are good. They can be difficult, but it's really good to have these, and it's great to hear you all airing different visions and also similar visions, but really just airing the ideas for the future of the NEA. So really appreciate you all, and thank you for coming tonight. We'll see you out there. Friends, we've had quite a meeting tonight, and we will have our other chances in person to really debate all the issues and the candidates. But I did want to give a chance. I do think this is an exception. I really urge you all to really, obviously you listened, you could listen again if you could take the recording of this meeting. You can also look at all the websites of the candidates, and I urge you to do that and talk to people and hear what you know about these figures. They've all been either very important within their own state affiliates or within the NEA itself already. So I think we have some outstanding candidates. That's what I'll just say. So, but I want to turn it to Julia because we do have, I think, an exception here that makes sense. Go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, Julia Norman Waltham, and NEA Director. I would like to make a motion that our NEA delegation endorse Saul Ramos from Worcester for ESP at large for the NEA Board of Directors. And I believe that is Jahira still here?
But I see Kathy Meltsakos says
I will gladly second that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Kathy.
Do you want to just quickly speak, Kath, Julia?
Yeah, sure. So many of you know Saul. Saul has been an MTA member and ESP in Worcester for many, many years. For those of you who are newer, I can't remember what year it was, Saul, but He also was honored to receive the NEA ESP of the Year award when we were in Boston, I believe. Saul has worked with students who have had vision impairment, and he has also worked for the NEA. So he's worked both as a ESP member and for the NEA, organizing ESPs. He has done tons of work lifting up ESPs in Massachusetts and throughout our entire country, and our entire organization. And he's just been such a wonderful leader. He's been a leader on our LGBTQ plus committee. He's been a leader with our EMAC committee and has just done so much work. And I know that he would be a much needed voice on the NEA board of directors and a strong candidate from Massachusetts.
Can I piggyback and say he is one of the strongest advocates for ESPs I have ever encountered?
Concur.
Thank you both. Are there other people who'd like to comment? Oh, there's Saul. Saul, hello. You could as well.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Julia and Kathy, for making and seconding the motion and for what you spoke. And also thank you, Max, and the delegation for letting Julia make this motion. I just wanted to say thank you. I think Julia summarized very beautifully some of the work that I've done. I will say that one more thing is that I did serve one 3-year term in this position from 2020 to 2023. And that's when I took a 2-year leave of absence and went and worked with NEA with their ESP quality department to create a national ESP Bill of Rights, which was, of course, inspired by all the work that was initiated and created here in Massachusetts through the MTA. So as we go into Denver and, we're going to elect a new president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and 2 EC members for the NEA, I would really love to be a part of that transition team to be able to continue the advocacy, not just for our ESP members, but for all members, and also be another voice for MTA when it comes to lobbying and joining our NEA directors. So I really appreciate the vote of confidence to be able to be one of 8 seats that will be elected for ESP at large. And I would really appreciate it. And I would love to go into the RA with the endorsement of this delegation. So thank you.
Thank you, Saul. Richard Shea.
God. All right. Yes, good evening. I have worked with Saul myself as a Senate District Coordinator. He has been a political action leader in the EAW in Worcester, and he's done an outstanding job. He knows what it is to work at the grassroots level as well as at the NEA. So I strongly recommend Saul get this endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions? I see Rosa Lopez Whitehead. Hello.
Yes, I would really recommend that we endorse Saul. He's been a great mentor and one of the key people that got me involved in leadership. He's a great advocate for Hispanic issues. He was a member of the Hispanic Caucus and held the Northeast director position. So I think he's just so well-versed in so many things, LGBTQ issues, Hispanic issues, ESP issues. He would be a great candidate for this.
Thank you, Rosa. All right. Any other comments? All right. So let's then come to a vote. And this is about endorsing Saul Ramos as endorsing for the at-large ESP at large for the NEA board. Okay. All those can we just do this, Jen, with the raise hands?
But can I
Sure.
give some direction so that we can make sure we're
Hold on,
counting?
folks. Let Jen give some direction first. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Jen.
So when it's all those in favor, please use the react button and check the green, hit the green check mark for a yes vote. And then when Max calls for all those not in favor, it will be the red X. Both of these are under your react button. That will allow us to actually count the votes. So thank you.
All right. So now we're prepared to vote. Those in favor, please use that green checkbox. That's it. Just give it a minute. Keep it that way, and I think Jen will be able to.
Yep, I think we are good. And
Okay,
I'll clear the feedback.
and then all those opposed to the endorsement of Sal Ramos for the NEA ESP at large position, please use your red check mark, X mark. We good, Jen?
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
You have endorsed.
All right. Congratulations, friends. So now you have to go win. All right. Very well. Okay, that good. Very good. I think actually that brings us to the end of our meeting, if I'm not mistaken, Jen. Friends, we've covered a lot today, and we're going to have such many, many hours together out in Denver. Looking forward to seeing you all there. And I think that's it. So do we have to, without objection, I think we will adjourn for the night. No objection. Good. Thanks,
There's
everyone.
a couple of people with their hands up, Max.
Oh, are they trying to ask questions?
Yes, we have two. Mary Pat Dodge and then Rosa Lopez.
Hi, Mary Pat Dodge, 34C. I just would like it, I think what I saw, and maybe I'm wrong, but that could we make a note that this was a unanimous endorsement of Saul from the delegation that was here today?
Without objection, I think we will list it that way. Is there objection to that? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rosa.
I just wanted to make sure people saw the link to the Hispanic Caucus Latin Nights Dance. It's going to be July 5th, and tickets are on sale, and I posted a link in the chat. And the money that we make goes straight to scholarships and to fund people to go to conferences. So I would appreciate anyone who can come. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rosa.
And Rosa, we can add a link to that in the external shared drive so that people can find it easily.
I'll share with you the PDF
Perfect.
flyer also. I'll email it to you.
Perfect.
Saul.
I put it in the chat, but I just wanted to express it to the whole delegation. Thank you. I really appreciate the endorsement, and I'm truly honored. And if elected, I will be the best voice for you all. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate. So thank you.
Thank you, Saul. All right. So now, without objection, I think we will adjourn for the night. See you all very soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.